Oh, don't have your tea.
You need more drink.
I will. Suit. No, I'm good for now.
You just have to show me. Jacqueline.
I should take Scarbutt out actually. Hang on.
Come on. Is this live? Oh, starting to get some people on here. Hey guys, thanks for joining us live. We're just waiting for Chris here, and Vanan is getting some tea. So thanks for joining us.
And also brought a friend.
Nice. I didn't even actually. I did remember you just started getting into lizards. Like, what is it?
Yeah, I've always liked them, but I mean, snakes was always the first thing, right? But then I'm like getting into like trying to figure out the brain, I guess, the colubrid brain, and I just wanted to just kind of get into the lizard brain a little bit to see if there's anything, any kind of semblance of anything. Is there a way I can make this full screen here?
Here, let me. Here, I can.
Oh, there you go. I can see more of you. That's good. That's good. I just need to see more of you.
Yeah, except that I want it to be you and not me. Hold on.
Get this. It's reversed. That's why. Yes. Okay. What the hell? It's all me. No! I shall not entertain everybody. Maybe Scarbutt will. What up, Scarbutt? Good day, everybody. Thanks for tuning into Cornel's Worlds, whatever he calls it in the evening. Oh! Greg, are you even hearing me? Or is this some kind of prank that you're just going to record me being an idiot?
You couldn't hear me?
No. Did you hear all that?
Okay. Well, yeah, I could hear you, but I thought if I removed myself and made you full screen, that I could still interact. But I guess I have to be there.
Oh.
So let's see if I can.
Yeah, I couldn't even hear you.
Sorry, I'm all new to this fancy streaming, so I'm trying to figure out how to duplicate. Let's go there. Good enough for now.
Sweet.
So yeah, I was asking what type, like, is that a gamma? It's hard to see. It's gonna blow out.
I'm gonna bring it close to the camera here. So let's see, we'll focus in. Come on, focus in. Whatever. It's a type of Lacerta, right? It's from the Lacerta family, and they're called almond lizards, and they have their own genus Omanosaurus. And they're found from this small little Oman desert, small little part in the Middle East, and they're so badass, man. I mean, like they don't have the fear. Like they kind of try to run away from you in the tank when you come from above. That's just typical. But once you get them out, like they don't even have to try. They didn't have to try. Like they don't even jump off. Like he'll crawl up and he'll just chill.
Our painted agamas at the shop are the same way. Like they're super skittish and want to get away once they're in the tank, but once they get onto your hand, like they're perfectly just content just hanging out.
Yeah, I want to get lost in my beard or something. Yeah,
so this is perfect. We're under obviously quarantine and the whole social distancing thing, and we don't let Vanan into my shop, so this is perfect. We can do it over video feed. Just a running joke.
Your kind. So yeah, this is perfect. I can hide out here. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, and I don't know where Chris is. He should be on any minute, but we had to get started at some point here. We're already later. Chris and I actually did a video birthday chat to a girl, a 10-year-old girl named Izzy in California today. That she was disappointed that she couldn't have a birthday party, and so we did a video chat with her. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's cool. Sorry, I just heard a Rat-a-tat.
It's funny how things have changed here, like with all the social distancing, and people are, like even on Friday nights, instead of getting together with friends, now we're video chatting with
Yeah.
friends and doing it that way.
The
It's
watch
so-
parties and stuff like that. Like, I haven't actually delved into that too much because I'm kind of used to being alone up here. Like, so I mean, like being a reptile. I mean, they take up most of my time. It's not because I don't want to be social. They take up most of my time, and then when I do, I go out. But it's just when I do, I go out. Option is not there, and that's frustrating, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's just it's really made everyone reprioritize things. Okay.
I definitely find that. It's funny though, because the first little bit it was really awesome, and now I'm, hearing from lots of people. It's like, oh, my kids are driving me nuts. Like, I can't wait for them to be able to go back.
Dude. I'm only a half-time parent.
Yeah,
And
well,
the last week was spring break, the Easter break too, right? So I'm just like, okay,
yeah.
now you're working with me up here. Then like, you're doing stuff with me now. Like, we're doing this together.
Yeah, definitely. The halftime makes it a little bit easier, but it's still it's crazy. I mean, having to keep up with this kids' schoolwork and making sure they do their video chats with their teachers and everything else.
Oh, and their friends.
Well, they
Like,
do
I mean,
that
you got
on their
older
own.
kids,
I don't get to be part of that conversation.
Oh, I have to kind of make sure because you're still at that age. I can't, I got to watch over and make sure it's the right, app or whatever they're using to chat with. And there's this like new game, kind of like Minecraft, sorta. I'm old. I don't understand a lot of that stuff. Like, but yeah, it involves like chatting too. I'm like, whoa, who are we chatting with, right? So
yeah, my kids.
and then you have to learn about these things. You have to learn about these games just to make sure that you're being safe.
Yeah, my kids are Carter's the what the heck's it called? Not Minecraft. Fortnite.
Oh yeah, he's older. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, there's Chris. What's up, homie?
Fashionably late as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, somebody didn't drop me off at home, so
Right on. I'll smooch you on up closer here.
So
I needed a cocktail.
So Vanan's got a little Lacerda running. I think it's hidden in his beard.
Yeah, there you go.
We're up in his
Are we
tail.
actually live yet, or is this the broadcast studio, the backstage?
We're getting the backstage pass today.
Yeah, there's backstage. I can't
Are
do
we
the
live, or is this?
Oh
still
yeah, sorry. I didn't know what you were asking. Yeah, we're totally live right now.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so don't talk about that. Not one night in no.
Yeah, we don't talk about that night, Vanan.
Where is he? There he is.
What happens in Edmonton stays in Edmonton.
Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, you mean the other? Never mind.
Yeah, there's too many times.
Too many nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this guy's awesome, dude. Like, I don't know, like, I was all goo gaga over the jewels, and those guys are badass already to begin with. And then you don't even have to try with these things. They don't look as awesome though as the jewels. They're not as colorful and flashy.
Which kind of lizard is that one?
These are the Omen lizards.
Oh.
These are produced by Jim from Calgary. J&J, yeah.
J&J Reptiles.
Yeah, man, captured bred by him. I mean, I didn't even realize how rare they were until after the fact, right? Until, of course, I let most of them slip through my fingers. But Jesse will do something with them. I know he will. He'll probably watch this. I don't know. He probably will.
Probably.
Is that full grown?
No, he's about half grown.
Okay.
They get kind of like that, a little bit slender, more slender than the jewels.
Right.
Yeah, about the same length.
Sorry, the males get the giant heads like the...
No, they're kind of tricky. They're really, really subtle. Even as adults, like the heads are very, very similar. Like, to me, I still can't tell by looking at pictures. And I mean, really, I only have the one him too. So until he grows bigger, I won't know too. But yeah, they're super nice. They just don't seem to have that fear at all.
Nice. So did you touch on...
Yeah, you're not here to talk about snakes all day, or lizards all day, so...
Did you talk about how Vanan got his start with reptiles?
We hadn't even really started. We were kind of waiting for you. So,
oh, okay.
How much time are we gonna?
Yes. I mean, I was literally sitting here for the last 5 minutes waiting for a message from you to join. So,
Oh shit! I gotta go put him back there in the meantime.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that I had to send you a link. I was assuming the other one would work, but then once you weren't on, I'm like, oh, I should send you one.
Appreciate you.
Do we all use the same beard? Do we all use the same beard conditioner? Apparently not.
I don't know,
Some are
do
more
we?
wily than others.
Yeah.
I've got that bulldog thing rocking now. Was it bulldog? Yeah, beard oil.
Oh. I'm too cheap. I just make one.
It's a brand.
Yeah.
I finally shaved mine down a little bit, and Amy cut my hair last night, so I'm feeling a little bit better. It was getting pretty wild.
Well,
I
good,
think when
'cause
I end up
it's hard
having
to
to
hear
do
on
it,
the
it's gonna
phone.
just go all out. Like everything's just gonna come off.
It was hard to hear Greg through his face mop on the phone sometimes.
It's that damn iPhone. I hate it.
So
All
how you
right,
guys?
so Chris had asked, how did you get your start in reptiles?
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
What started it all?
Probably have to be the stories my dad told me, like to start, like origin, before I even ever saw a snake or probably even saw a picture of a snake. It's probably him feeding me all the stories of when he grew up, because when he grew up in Singapore back then, in the mid '60s, it was still a lot of rural areas, and he was in the village part of it, and you'd get like king cobras coming in, retic pythons coming in, and another weird little tidbit is that my grandma, my dad's mom, I don't know if you know, some tribes in India worship the snake or the serpent god, right, as the Naga, whatever they call it.
I know a few
And
ladies
my
like that
grandma's
too.
sorry.
Sorry, I know a few ladies like that too. Right, carry on.
But so yeah, just kind of she would have an altar, I guess my dad would say, at the back of the house, and have like offerings. I don't know. They put eggs out, and apparently these cobras would come and eat the egg whole. They put milk out there. You've seen it in India where people do that. I mean, there's obviously not really anything to it, but they do all that too. So all those stories, just for some reason, just kind of stuck in my head. It's just like epic, and I think more so because it was the forbidden fruit. Because on the other end, my mom was like, no way. Every time I brought something home, it was like, no, out the house. Right, 6 years old, I brought a kitten home. He's like, out the house, right? So she was not the animal person until like much later, by process of attrition, pretty much. So it was kind of like that, the whole allure growing up, and it wasn't until like my teenage life was when I actually just started going on my own and venturing onto the jungles by myself in Singapore and started seeing things by myself. That's when I really fed that even more. And then it was very abrupt, because around the time was when we moved to Canada too, which was also kind of opportunistic, because then came the captive bred part of it, keeping reptiles in captivity, because we weren't allowed to do that in Singapore, right? It was illegal to keep reptiles in Singapore.
When did you
So
move to
on
Canada?
hindsight, sorry?
When did you move to Canada?
My parents, just because of the medical support for my sister at the time and stuff. So the whole family thing.
Sorry, I mean when? When did you? Like, what's the time frame?
98. So it was like 22 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So wee little lad. But yeah. So then I just went to a pet store and I saw my first. I think it was a green animal. I'm like, oh my god, you can buy that? It's only $10. And that was it's just like someone's kind of funny. Like, I brought this. Actually, I wanted the animal, and I ended up going to the store and then I'm bringing home a tarantula instead, because I went back to my last minute. I went back to my first love. Like, I grew up catching spiders in the school backyard fence, right, in Singapore, and so I brought a tarantula back home. But then like after a week, I'm like, no, like I still just wanted the allure of like what I've never had, right? So I had a little setup of like green and brown animals, and then it was just a snake, and then it was like, and then I think like the next year I had an order from Glades Herp.
No way. Nice.
Oh, wild caught racers and water snakes. Just go right into it, because you never just do things like, But yeah, so I was just all out or nothing, right? But it was cool because it was a learning curve, because I'm like, that back then it was like the internet was still kind of, 90s was like, instead of running from library to library, like to learn all the stuff you could, boom, it was all right there, right? So you just like felt you knew things more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's way easier now for everybody
No, the
to
internet.
get that information.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. The library thing. We had to go to the library to get the books to learn about all this stuff because there was no internet.
Yeah, I feel both ways. Yeah, totally, man.
Or you had to write to your favorite reptile breeder and hope he wrote you back.
Yeah.
Pen pals used to be a thing.
Yeah.
I used to have one of old Tom Huff's old price lists in a box somewhere. I got to try and find it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I remember someone shared a Glade Syrup one back on, like, I saw that color and that thing, everything. I'm like, boom, brought me back to, like, good times. It was because it was so big, but it was still underground, which was kind of fun because you were allowed to do things without, I mean, I hate to say, I know we're live, but I just speak my mind, but, like, without too much scrutiny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we were more focused on what we wanted. It was about the captive propagation. It's about the conservation. It was the passion. It was the love. It was, so we had a lot of, like, I guess you want to call it, I don't want to sound divisive, but the true blues, right? The ones that the diehards, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. And kind of what I feel now, it's like, because everything is so packaged already, which is great, which is what we always wanted to go to. So in some ways, it's kind of shot us back in the sense that we never really got people that were really fully developed, with passion-wise, because everything was handed to them. They didn't have to go make the effort as much, right? So, I don't know. It's the whole mixture of it that kind of makes it interesting. So, I don't know why I went on that tangent. I blame them.
It's funny because my first reptile too was a green anole from a small pet shop in Lethbridge. I mean, back then you're lucky if a pet shop had like maybe one or two snakes and a couple small lizards, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
after I moved here, my first one was a green iguana at the pet shop in South Center Mall. Down the bottom on the left hand side was like a Sport Check now. Used to be a pet shop there. It was like an 89. Yeah. When I moved here. And then I bought a king snake, and then it was...
Yeah, and then it was gold.
A Cal King. Classic Cal King.
Yeah, the regular old desert bandit, eh?
Yeah, not even desert. It was like coastal, a little bit yellow, chocolate brown. It was a beast. Over 5 feet.
You know how difficult... Like, those were my favorites back then, too. They were the hard ones, the chocolates, right? Not just the... Yeah. I mean, they had those Joshua trees. Remember? I don't know what the locale they are now, but... or even if they even locale, but... I like the coastals, that muddy look too. Like, remember when I had those grease kings too? I think a couple here in Saskatchewan, they ended up with a pair. They had those grease kings. Those were pretty, kind of like a natural hypomelanistic snake. But speaking of snakes, I'm gonna try to see if I can pull out something here without chatting your ear up and see who is not full of food.
It's not Cornel's World After Dark. Speaking of snakes, I'm gonna try to pull something out here.
All depends how much drink you had.
Vanan, that's why you're not allowed at the shop. You did this once before.
Actually, I don't know if you guys can see back in there.
Yeah. Those are nice cages, by the way.
I was gonna say, I
pretty fancy. Hey.
Look at the cages.
I like how those doors.
Can I do that again? Did that catch the glint? Perfect.
Those are gotta be older ones too. The litter dams are shorter there. They're older.
Yeah, this is a little bit smaller. I usually have to sweep it up.
Is that the old 3/8 stuff too?
Yeah. But I don't know if you can see them. And then both of them are going at it. My big guy and that hypo and that female. I posted a picture that one time. They're all like nuzzling each other. I'm gonna actually take something out. God damn it! 1 sec.
Let me show you the enclosures.
All right. How about her? She didn't want to eat yesterday. I'm not sure why.
Oh, nice.
She's also gonna watch her a little bit.
It's gonna
eat. Put her head in there.
It's gonna eat your face.
All right. She got dirt on her. I gotta wipe her off. Good old albino snakes.
Nice.
But yeah, this you guys know probably just a albino king rat. Yeah, that's probably better.
Oh, there you go.
I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to get you full size.
Oh.
I'm new to this,
full size my hand. Come on.
I can see how to ban you from the studio, but not how to make you full size.
Whoa, where are we going?
Yeah. So how long have you had this piece?
She is 4. 2016, I got her. And I'm just trying out for the first time. She was not the best feeder when she was younger, so I don't think she is the length I would like her at, but she's good.
Oh yeah.
5, easy. So we'll see if she goes this year. But I have a normal female that went with my albino male too, and he's hopefully done the job. She looks pretty cool. But yeah, they're cool, man. I don't know if you can pick up on it. I'm sorry again, the focus, but the scales on them are so cute, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are cool.
They like feel like cheese grater in your hand. Like sometimes they hang on to you and they just. I've always liked them in the past, especially because not so much necessarily the albino part of it, but just as a species, they always seem really smart. They seem to always be looking and watching and just see how she's just constantly checking things out. You know, like just something's going on up in there.
My dog is like obviously going through withdrawals. He's like going crazy behind me.
Nice. Hey, so with the king rats, how many of those have you got?
How many which?
King rats.
Just a 3, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got a pair of albinos, and then I got a another female that was an import from I think one of the Chinese imports that came in around the same time, normal too. So, but it was one of those where right as a hatchling, I don't know how the temperaments are typically are as babies, because the last time I had them they were wildcaughts back then.
Yeah.
And she was just super chill. My normal was like super chill right from the get-go. So it'd be badass to actually have a big like king rat that is actually nice.
Yeah.
I got you full size now, Van, and so for when you're showing off snakes, I figured it out.
Okay.
We got Vanan giant size now, which is perfect. We do have a couple.
Can we make Testament full size? Testament.
That's actual size, Vanan, on your computer screen. He's so tiny.
Yeah. Jason is asking, what species from Malaysia would Vanan love to work with? No limit, so hots and giants are on the table if he'd work with them if he could.
Ooh, okay. Well, if you say giants right away, my brain goes to the ticks because that just brings me back to home again. But next would probably be mangroves. Boigas, just regular boigas. Dendrophyllus. Just again, one of those that takes me back to home, and it's just that. It's the reason why I like calkings, actually. It's the reason why I like Russian rats and all that, the black and yellow. It's because of mangroves.
Yeah.
And this thing here is a corn snake. It's probably one of the most wily lines or types of snakes I seem to have. Every year I produce them. They never settle down. This guy's parents were just the same way. His babies are the same way, grew up the same way. Every baby that comes out, they never settle down. I like it because it feels more like a wild type snake. It has, the muscle tone. It's not that typical relaxed corn snake that's just hand fed, whatever. You know how corn snakes can get lazy sometimes, but they just don't have the muscle tone. And I like that, but except that I also worry about the longevity because I lost the dad in a very odd freak accident, it seemed like, because when I found him, he was stretched over his water dish and in a crinkle coil, like straight out. It's almost like his heart just gave out and it just like crunched up as he was going over this water dish. It was weird. So I don't know whether it's like because of the temperament, a heart attack is part of the line. I haven't seen it in these guys yet and some of the animals I'm raising up, but
nice.
I don't know if it's just a blood rate thing too, because even Tyrone has actually had some blood rates that were like that too. Like, and I don't know if it's line or a blood rate thing, but it's just not like a typical corn. I feel bad for everyone asking me like, "Hey, do you have corn snakes?" I'm like, "Yes, I do, but you probably don't want mine."
See, that makes
Well,
me want those more. I like the ones that are feisty. I like some spirit in them.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Same thing here.
That's a good sized corn too. I actually thought that was an Everglades when you pulled it out.
No,
Well-
this is my actual.
Yeah.
He's a 2015 animal. See if I can get the full length of it in here. There. But something
And
like
a
that.
snake is so big you need full screen.
yeah,
And
well, I was,
even.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I was thinking just with the way the scales looked that it wasn't. I thought you were joking that it was a corn snake. I couldn't tell. Like the scales
Yeah.
looked peeled as
And
well.
And he was a holdback too, just like the female. I don't know if I can capture it here with the light here, but the belly is also very, very rare. You have a lot of blood rates that come out with. Come on, Lightning, work with me. Whatever, you can sort of see it. Why he was one of my holdbacks, but yeah, I just thought I should point that out because they do start throwing nice babies, and each year it just keeps getting better and better. So we'll see how it goes.
Just before I forget, Rachel said, "Hey, banana."
And also, suddenly I have something in common with corn snakes.
Oh.
Yeah, you do.
Chris Fortier was saying earlier also that he's excited to see your Royals collection.
Oh yeah, all the Royals, bro. I got all the Royals, bro. Oh, of course he's got dirt on him. Chris, you probably won't recognize this guy, but
Yeah, I do.
he's son to your boy.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah, he's the baby boy to your dude. So, and was it 2017 animal? So hopefully he actually bred with the albino female. This is actually a baby from the albino female. And I
Wow.
managed to keep a pair back, so I got a pair back, so we can get some of that back again. But yeah, I
Nice.
love this line, bro. Like they're so big and they eat so well. Like this was one of the ones that I don't remember the story where Tyrone had one of my babies too, and I can't remember the same year or not. But I was working with him, and I was cleaning the snakes, and I was gonna go clean. At that time, he was using paper towels, that blue paper towel. And I went there to clean the snake, and there was no blue paper towel. So I'm like, oh, that's odd. Maybe we missed it. Kind of odd, though. It's also kind of odd that the snake has a big lump in its belly, even though I didn't feed it at all. And lo and behold, dude, I think I showed you guys the video. You guys remember that from a while ago. Right? And I pulled the whole, I think it was 2 sheets of blue paper towel out of this, like, probably a 6-month-old northern pine snake. No, sorry, it wasn't 6 months. It was probably close to a year, but still, too small.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said that because I saw a video on, I don't know, it was Facebook or YouTube yesterday, and it was like a giant snake that had swallowed like a bath towel, and it was like them pulling the whole thing out of the snake's mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, see, usually you pull it out the back end.
Yeah, oh, well, see, that's the thing. I'm like, a good thing I caught it at a point because it was still in the stomach. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have been able to go anywhere else either. But yeah, it was.
Mark Isbell back in the day had some big kings that would eat the blue shop towels and they'd come out the back end.
Oh, you want king snakes? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, my favorite is, man. Although, which is kind of odd because as much as people say, about the whole eating thing, over the years of working with the Floridas, especially, I found that a lot of it was also to do with our husbandry and where that reputation kind of came. I mean, granted, yeah, they do have phenomenal appetite, but the truth is, we also crank them up a little bit too much with the typical temperatures that we recommend for them, which is very wrong because we do the typical corn snake, right? The 75, 85, 85 Fahrenheit. But they don't even occupy the same niche out there in the wild. They're not even in the same areas. One is high up in the trees in the middle of the day, and the other one is right down the ground as soon as it's not even high noon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tuned down a little bit, and I found that that's all it took, and the temperament changed completely. I started actually seeing other behaviors, and I could see how they interact with each other a little bit more and how they recognize things, and without just the typical fear and backed up or the immediate launching at you food. I actually haven't had that, I kind of missed that. But we'll see in the middle of summer here when it gets warm enough, we might get there. But
I found with my pits too, if I was keeping them too warm, they were real grumpy and feisty and very quick to
pits too, especially because they're
cool them, keep them a little bit colder, and they're a lot more tractable. They eat better. You don't get regurg issues, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I find that there's a lot of snakes. In fact, I haven't turned on my heat yet, truth be told. I'm doing my room's a little unique because it's a loft suite, so it does have. I have to combat with the heat in the summertime. I have ACs going, but the best route I took was actually letting it go naturally. Because what I end up doing is just I regulate it with a window, and then sometimes I just have a thermostat onto my AC in the summertime and just let it go ambient. And in the morning to even in the daytime rise even, it's just almost perfect, man. Like it's crazy how perfect it works. So like I'm letting my snakes naturally cycle to the season outside also in that sense, right?
Yeah.
Which seems to like this year seemed to really work bang on with my guys. I was worried with that I was late. I incubated for I hibernated them for another can't say brewmate anymore. Thanks, Jay.
You can still say it.
But I gave them an extra month, and I thought it was going to set me behind. But no, they were like right on track. As soon as they came out, they knew what to do. So, which was a lot for me. So
Yeah. Well, I found a lot of mine this year. Same thing. Let them go a bit later, and yeah, they all were going at it right away.
yeah, and especially with all the temperate climate species we have already, right? So they just sort of keyed into a cycle like we go throughout here even, right? Especially we're lucky with the Alberta summers and spring, which is very similar to a lot of what these guys would be at too. So,
right.
I'm going to put him back because he's being
crazy.
Whatever. Yeah.
Nice. So he's what, 3? You said?
He is. Yeah, he's 3.
Now, did you find he started? I found with that line of pines when I had the big daddy there. He was real like he was a big baby, and then steady growth, and then like around year 2 he kind of stopped, and then year 3 he just exploded and grew like doubled in size in 1 year. It was insane.
No, I think I don't know. With my guys, probably the typical just the first year to get them established, and then they took off. They never really looked back.
Oh, okay.
And I just maybe he passed on his babies over, but yeah. I would take him out too, but he's just covering dirt and everything because he's not very nice to the female. He doesn't let up. He knows what's going on, but I think she's done too. She looks pretty full right now too. So I'm just letting her have a time out and stuff. But yeah. But otherwise, how are your guys' pets doing? Chris, you got a dog or cat too?
I got a dog. Yeah, he's insane. He's upstairs. If he came down here, he would just trash the place. He's a 70-pound. He thinks he's a deer. He just jumps from couch to couch to couch, and it runs full blast, knocking shit over everywhere.
Yeah, it's like they legit just don't have. They can't keep that in anymore. They just going like this. Yeah,
well, he's
it was
an
good the
American
one
bully, like Ty's dog, Rogue there, but he's like leaner than Ty's. Ty's got like a little thick plug. This guy, he's built like a gazelle right now, so he just is so fast and just loves to jump. So hopefully he puts on a little more and slows down and quit jumping everything. Yeah, it's nuts. He's a good one.
Yeah, that's like that too. She's got the pit bull mind, but she's got the mastiff legs. She's a little more clunkier too.
Yeah, and he's super awkward. He has no idea of his body. He thinks he's a cat. He stands on the edge of the couch, like that 2-inch space. He puts all 4 feet on there and tries to balance. And he's up at head level because
respect.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I think it's an adjustment for the animals like that we keep now too. Like just with everybody being home so much more often now, they don't know what to do. Like my dog's been going crazy lately.
Hang on a second. I don't know how my battery is running low here. I don't know why I never foresaw this.
Oh,
yeah, I think it's going to be on the back end of this. I think it's going to be worse because they're going to be used to us being home all the time, and they're going to get.
What's that?
I think it's going to be worse on the backside of all this because they're going to be used to us being home all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally
crazy.
Yeah. For me, it doesn't change.
Oh,
you're cutting out.
I think his phone's dying.
Well, he said his phone's dying. I hope it didn't actually die.
You grab a charger. Pretty funny. So there's some questions that people said add from here too that we should probably get to.
Can you see the questions, Chris?
Yeah.
Can you scroll through and post them, or
I don't know which ones you're talking about? I can't even respond to them, which is weird, but I can see them. Or I don't know where. Maybe there's a different spot. That old man looking at the.
Paula Heath had asked, have you ever had a snake escape, and how long before should I assume it made it out of the house? Corn snake raised from a yearling, tried all the usual traps.
So for me, I mean, it's happened a few times. You try and keep stuff as secure as you can, like not with the same animals, but every once in a while, like you'll have little babies that you maybe underestimated the gap size in the doors of the cage or something and put them in the wrong one. Yeah, I mean, I actually found that using the sticky traps works really well along the baseboards because they typically travel around the outside perimeter of the room and the walls. They'll travel along that. I had a milk snake baby that got out of one of its the little bins I had them in. The lid was probably a little too soft, so it managed to squeeze out. And it was like almost a year later. So this thing had never eaten a meal. Somehow survived in the basement for nearly a year. And one night it was just weird. I just went down to check on some stuff. It was like super late, 2 in the morning or something. And I saw it stuck on the trap. So you just put a couple of drops of vegetable oil and do it very gently so you don't hurt your scales. Perfectly fine. So, I mean, the sticky traps work. You just have to monitor it or else the snake can struggle and get really stuck. And if you don't catch it in time, it's a very cruel way to die. But yeah, it's just, just keep checking. If you have a secured room, like it's a sealed off room, so it can't really go anywhere. We had some water damage, so there's a hole in the drywall that we have to still fix. So stuff can get in the wall now. But.
I think one thing to keep in mind for people who have snakes that get loose in their room is the first thing that I would do is probably cover the vent. Because that's typically a source for heat for them, so that they're going to be going into the vent and traveling towards the furnace just to get that heat. So that would be the first thing to cover. If it's been a few days though, and that's been uncovered, it'd be one place to check.
Just keep looking, because typically I find with mine, like anything that ever, again, the rare time that stuff escapes, they're usually stuck in a spot, a cool, dark spot. They're kind of hiding out. We had one that was under the stairs. It was just a Texas rat, and it's amazing the tight space they can curl up in. It was stuck between a couple of bins that were stacked under the stairs at the old house, and just sitting there. I looked, all of a sudden, hey, there it is. Like it was like a week later that it was just sitting there in the dark. Just grabbed it, put it back in the cage. So we got a bunch of our Pacific Northwest friends popping on here. Blaine, you're coming up soon. We're doing a live with you one of these days.
Yeah, we definitely have to have Blaine on and tell us a few stories. Noah told us to beat it, nerds.
Yeah, beat it, nerds. Go on, get
it. Chris Fortier had said inside of couches and chairs, inside of appliances, warm, dark places, and I mean that's spot on. They're looking to feel
secure under the fridge if it's in a kitchen area.
Yeah.
That's a famous place for them.
Yeah. Find all the crickets under the fridge.
I know he seemed to go under. I had an entire clutch of Cribos get out because the stupid bins the hatching bins, the lids weren't as snug as I thought, and they all got out. And they literally, like 90% of them ended up under the stairs. So for some reason, that seems to be where they all seem to congregate.
That was a perfect face for you to get added back into the live.
Yep. So Vanan, how you doing, buddy?
We're back on the back side of this. I have to use the computer now.
We like it, right?
Dead. Oh, wait. Barely believe it me. So, what did I miss?
Okay,
you're a bit laggy, so I'm hoping that'll.
Could be the.
We were telling your life story. It's probably not quite the same as the way you tell it.
We just started making stuff up though, so.
Probably more exciting though.
Maybe not.
With life story, I don't know. You want to carry on with that? That pretty much it was it. It was just when I got into the hobby, and then it just was like madness.
So here's a question that some people have: is if they've had an escaped corn snake, what are some tricks you've used to recapture an escapee?
I would actually just go hunting. I found the best ways to actually come upon. I've tried traps and this and that back in the past, like making your own little, try and entice it out with a pinky and stuff. I mean, the chance of that happening is so slim that you have a better chance of just kind of pulling things apart and knowing where to look.
Yeah.
And if you understand the snake and the snake's needs more, it really helps you direct them to. And I mean, I gotta admit, if you've ever kept snakes, you'd be lying and say you've never had a snake escape. They're just insane escape artists. It's only until they escape do you realize and respect that.
Yeah.
But most times I find them in the colder parts of the house. Like I usually find them in the basements or like in the coal cellar or something like that. And they seem to just, I don't know if they're seeking humidity, and that's why they go to those areas, or just purely just to not use up as much resources. I don't know why, but yeah, the best for me, my best advice I can give is to actually start tearing things apart.
Yeah. I've always found them in cool, dark places for some reason. They seem to avoid the heat when they escape.
Yeah, because you don't.
Sorry, would that be specific to like corns that don't like it as hot? Because I was always, I mean, I'm not a snake guy, but I was always told that, a warm place for them to kind of hide, maybe leaving a prey item, like on a heat pad or whatever. But corns don't like it as hot. So would that be why that they may you might find them in a cooler place?
I think it's mostly because they don't need that hot spot, because snakes don't always need to bump the metabolism up to that level unless they have a need, right? So unless they just ate and they escaped or something, or you left it, that I've seen that happen before. More than often, snakes will tend to keep at a cooler resting metabolic rate, right? Like and then for some reason they still have the energy. They don't need to be warmed up to be able to hit hard. They seem to have
They need to do stuff, like eat or hunt or whatever. But if they're not starving, they're just going to be staying cold and conserving energy. That's what I found.
Exactly, man. And especially with like colubrids and stuff, right? With pythons, maybe I don't see them so much in the basements, maybe, but I've heard of them being stuck loose in the basement rafters before. But that'd be interesting if I walk into a basement and I see a 15-foot retic in a basement raptor.
Yeah, and again, for me, in my experience as well, it's almost all colubrids. It's not, I don't keep, a lot of boas or pythons, right? I haven't had any escapee boas or pythons, so.
Yeah, right? I mean, how do you lose a big snake like that?
Yeah. Should be easy to find, your 15-foot retic.
Yeah. Well, if you know where to look, right? I mean, that's the main thing. Lost snakes, lost and found.
So how are you doing mentally here with all this COVID stuff?
I don't know. Do I seem imbalanced more than usual?
Always like that. So
I don't know. Your head's not in focus. Slow down.
Yeah. Can you see it's warm up here, guys. It's like, because it's warm from the heat from the day. Holy shit. I should keep that on. We're live here. But no, it's just
Maritime Gecko's had a question kind of for all of us, and it's a good question because it doesn't make sense to me. But Vanan, do you have animals for sale right now? Like, are you selling animals?
Yeah, I still do. I still have some animals for sale. My inventory has really shrunk just in the last week all of a sudden. But yeah, I still have a couple animals still left. Yeah,
well, that was kind of the question that I was getting at. Do you mean that all of a sudden you've had quite a few sales lately?
Yes. That was that little bit of a slump when everyone was just like, whoa, what is happening? And we all had to hunker down and, and I was in the middle of some, we're talking to a couple of people and stuff like that. So everyone just had to hunker down and wait. And, it was obviously understood, right? So we had to wait that out. But for some reason, it just seemed to kick back again a lot sooner than I would expect it to. I like to think it's because I was trying harder, but no, I don't think so, because it's just happening. It's just obviously the stimulation of the economy is part of it. We can't deny that part. But I think also it could be just the fact that people are getting so bored inside that it's, finally now having the time to have hobbies again, revisit those ideas again, passions and things like that, I think.
Yeah, it's and that's why I wanted to bring the question up, because I've been talking with Chris lately, and our order stack for cages and racks right now is probably the biggest it's ever been in terms of backlog. And I can think back to November, December when I was worried what we're gonna do. guys, the people were ordering at that time because we were slower and getting cages like next day, day after, and they weren't stock items. To now where we're like 6 weeks away from cages because
it feels like fall for me because I'm getting all the MBK questions too.
I think a part of that too for people with animals is because there's no expos right now because of nobody can congregate, that they have to go online now, and people are, I mean, partly more actively selling, but people are looking online because they know there's not an expo coming up. They're not going to wait for the expo, so now they're reaching out and contacting all the breeders to see what they have or checking their pages for stuff that's being advertised.
Blaine, for people who are following us in
how much for a kangaroo?
I know. Our friend from Oregon has a kangaroo for sale for those that are really bored, which would be crazy. We just lost Vanan again.
Apparently, he doesn't like kangaroos.
Oh, there he goes.
Who knew that was a hot button subject for you? Sorry, I will never bring up kangaroos again.
Let me go see live chat. Let's look at this. Click.
Yeah.
$2,300. That seems affordable.
I could get a tiger for $2,000. You.
I was thinking, I want tigers already.
Yeah.
Hey, remember the one time I said that everyone should just be able to go own a tiger?
You mean that isn't a thing?
How do you feel about that now? Wow, that backfired, didn't it? So much for that.
I'm like, I'm good on tigers. I'm really
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy right now.
Yeah.
In terms of like, to me, it seems weird because I feel like everybody should be like worried about their spending. I mean, so many people that I've heard have lost their jobs and everything, and all of a sudden we're having days where we were doing expo sales like 4 days in a row, like in terms of like the volume that we were getting orders. It's every time I check my email, there's like 2 more orders to go through, and like it's crazy.
Yeah, part of it goes like, I hope they are being aware of this. I mean, but you can't. It's just what they want to do. And at the end of the day is, I think it's also, there will be that faction of people that will be, making sure they get through this, and they'll be the ones that feel comfortable enough as it is that they're like, but this is just a little extra opportunity. We'll just deal with the, and of course, like everyone's quick to apply for the CERB thing until it comes tax time again, and then we're gonna have to do that song. And
make sure you save some of those bucks for tax time.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, part of it also feels like people need to feel happy more. Because I think that for twofold, because the social interaction is now cut off, so it makes us become essentially needier. And at the same time, because we're cut off from all the other things that we can entertain ourselves with, now we're going to all the other ways we can entertain ourselves indoors, right? So
there's another side of that too that I hadn't even thought about, that somebody the other day on the phone brought up. It was actually an American I was talking to on the phone about an order, and they were saying that part of the reason they think that people are spending more money right now is because their expenses are a lot less. They're not spending all that money on gas. They're not going out to restaurants or pubs.
Well, dude, it's the gas. Like, I mean, of course.
Actually, and there was also a friend of Edmonton that they were saying the same thing. Like, they're not spending all that money going out, drinking and eating and all that stuff. So, like, there's like hundreds of dollars that they weren't spending every month on entertainment that now they're spending on animals.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Online-based entertainment, sort of, right? Like, so to speak. And yeah, I totally see that too.
Yeah, something I hadn't even thought about that. It's like, oh yeah, your entertainment. It's coming out of that entertainment budget that you were spending elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's a shift of it.
Dan Alabone is saying, I need a PVC cage to hold my kids before they go nuts. I might have a new market.
I got a cage big enough here that I can fit a few kids. Actually, I like to live in that cage once in a while. It's my big.
Is that your?
Are you outside?
It's weird because he's talking to it.
I know. Like Jumanji there over at Vanan's.
That's my scenario. I'm gonna cover him
I
out.
see a rhino run by in the background. Watch out for the hippos.
Paula Heath is saying, and a lot of people in the U.S. just got stimulus checks, which
Yeah.
I know in the U.S. that seems to be a big thing. My couple U.S. suppliers that I've talked to, they're saying the same thing. They're like the sales are like up 500% in the U.S. for them,
Mhm.
like based on that this U.S. stimulus check that went out.
And the funny thing, F10 seems to be in short supply everywhere right now. We've had people from the U.S., a ton of people buying F10 because they said they can't find it anywhere down there.
Yeah, well,
So they're paying
F10
extra for shipping. Just
Reptile Basics was the one who was importing it from South Africa, and the FDA has always been a problem with bringing in those kind of chemicals or whatever, and they had to redo their labels that were put on them a couple times.
for the
And every
EPA.
time the shipments were being held at the border, and he finally got fed up. He said, "I'm not doing this anymore." So,
Yeah.
like, I'm in Canada. I don't know if anybody else has any, but like we're getting short already. I thought I ordered enough for like the show season, and then I thought I had too much because there was no shows, and like we're almost out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I think pretty much if you're in the cleaning supplies business, you're sitting pretty good.
Yeah. Well,
Cleaning supplies business. Yeah,
we're
'cause-
good for a little bit, but we're gonna have to find something else as an alternative because I mean F10 was so widely used, and
Yeah.
if it's not available anymore, I need to find like chlorhexidine or whatever to bring in to sell.
yeah, chlorhexidine. Like I find if you can find it, the blue and the pink one, right? I find that pink one, it's the same concentration, but the base not the solvent, but the base is slightly different. It's not a sulfate base, I think. Whatever it is, it is less irritable on mucous membranes. I don't know if you ever used the blue version of it.
Don't put it up your nose, Vanan.
I get carried away sometimes when I'm cleaning, and honestly, straight up, like I start inhaling that, and it actually gets irritable. And I actually tested it even, and with that other stuff, that it's called Hibitane. That is the product name, and
Yeah, Hibitane, yeah.
the tattoo studios use that. It's still soapier looking, right? It just suds up a little bit more, but it's just less irritable, which makes me sometimes when I need to like wash wounds on snakes and stuff when I'm cleaning things or dealing with. Even sometimes I had a little bout of scale rot actually. For our reason, not for what you would think because of too high humidity, but it went the other way. But I'll tell you guys about that in a sec here. But yeah, it was just nice and easy to clean it because you're not worried about it affecting actual mucous membranes, right? So
yeah, I find betadine is good for that too. You can get
that's
at farm supply places. You can get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, the big jugs.
yeah, that's an essential. You got to have that. I like betadine over polysporin for antibacterial too because it at least dries it out. Because sometimes keeping it wet isn't always the best with the condition, snakes and something. And so, but speaking of conditions, though, quickly, I just want to explain that scale rot, just so not everyone's going to have random scale rot. But because the internet, I was trying to dry out my snakes this winter because I've been very vocal about the stupid fly problem I have with the little fork flies.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to dry them out, removing the substrate, the peat moss substrate I typically use. And what happened was some of the more humid species, mainly my yellow-tailed crebo, she started having this, like the edges of the scale looked like they were just chipped off.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they were dried out and they cracked off because she's got branches in there, or was raw, but you could see the color turning a little bit. So then I just started treating her, and shed or two, she was fine. But it went the other way around from being too dry, right? So it was kind of a learning curve too, and I really realized to what extent I can push some species in towards humidity-wise. No one's health was affected. There was no RIs or nothing like that. It was just all stuff wasn't that extreme. I wouldn't put my snakes through that duress, but
no.
Yeah, but trying to just kind of get through this issue. On the winning side, I hope it's the winning side. Tomorrow, I'm going to receive these. We all know it actually. The hobbies, those predatory mites we use for snake mites. Apparently, those guys are the perfect size for the forest fly larvae too. When they're breeding in the substrate, that I actually will go after them too. That was the one that was recommended by 3 of the bigger companies out east. So I'm like, if it's ends up being 2 birds with 1 stone anyways, why not, right? Might as well just have a little bit of preventative control and then like get rid of this goddamn fly. So we'll try that tomorrow and see going the biological way. But I'll tell you, to be honest, guys, this you want to open a can of worms?
Yes,
That's why we've got you on here. I mean,
always.
you like to start controversy.
Yeah.
The whole bio thing it's very dreamy. I want to say dreamy because it's very bold, because it's very dreamy to assume that you're going to be able to give the animal what it gets in the wild. You're not. As soon as you put the confines of 4-wall, you're already not, because you don't have the ventilation. So you're not. So to assume that we're going to give all this aesthetic appeal, because I question that myself lots. I question myself. I'm like, am I doing this for myself, to make myself feel that my snakes are actually liking this, or are the snakes actually requiring it, right? There's, I'm not gonna go on about minimum requirements here, because we're not about minimum requirements. But even for the snake to just have a healthy, natural, what seems like a natural life cycle, is it necessary? I don't think it is, and it's fine. We can do that on a smaller scale. But let me tell you something, on a scale like this, not happening.
No.
It's just not happening. It's becoming it's such a nightmare now with these flies that it's like I'm cleaning 4 days out of the week here. And I'm talking like 400 animals here, right? Like constantly clean, spot clean, not even letting a little bit even drop, not giving these flies a chance. But the upkeep at just this possible aesthetic appeal, the balance is not there. So, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone says, do what works for you, and everything is different. But it's also what I really want to point out to most people who are very quick to judge, and I'll say those words, is that the scale, you guys don't understand the scale. It's not feasible. It's just not feasible when you get to a scale. Now, people want to argue about the scale. Why do you have to do the scale? Well, why do you want to go to a pet store and buy a snake? Because of guys that do scale. So pick your battles. I mean, it's either you're gonna say, okay, you're a keeper and you can keep the animals. I love seeing videos and pictures of people, friends who have actually bought snakes from me and then show me setup. I'm like, I love seeing how fast they grow and how well they're doing. Sometimes they grow a little faster than what mine do, because it's just mine have a schedule. I have a scheduled feed, right, on a weekly. These animals are as and when you feed, and that's usually what a pet owner does, and that's fine. It's within the both healthy ranges. It's just the level of care that you can offer. But the necessity to the point of being exclusive and where it ends up almost dividing the hobby is very, very unnecessary. It's very unnecessary, especially when it comes to snakes. Snakes are not geckos. Snakes are a little bit more complex than your crested gecko, where you can just go buy a couple of prepackaged things and there's not one snake that you can go out there and buy a package deal.
Well, and just the body size and mass, to do it on the same way, look at the size of a crested gecko in whatever bio enclosure versus a snake. You would need like a room size enclosure to do it the same way.
Exactly, and of course, in the same vein with snakes, that when you go micro, it gets only trickier. So there's no point with that too. But it's
great for display tanks, like again, somebody who's focusing on keeping rather than breeding. Or on a small scale.
Yeah.
It's a lot more manageable and easy to do, and they look nice. But it's impossible to do if you've got a big collection. When I bred crested geckos, for example, I had a big 4-foot live planted bioactive habitat with a bunch of them in there, but I also had all my breeders downstairs in my Walmart plastic tubs of appropriate size, and that was for function. The other ones were for display, to show. So we were doing both, but you can't do that with all.
Yeah, and there's a part of it too when you're a keeper or even a breeder. You're responsible for the health, longevity of these animals, and part of it, you're not going to allow the animal to just rot in a tub forever. We're always taking them out. We're always still trying to handle, even when working with Tyrone, and over here, even when we're cleaning, we're always hands-on. We're taking them out. We're like multiple times a week, for pictures and whatnot, kind of thing, right? And no one gets it, which is why sometimes my snakes end up just becoming tame just by that process alone. I don't have to try, but it happens anyway. So the what do you call it, the enrichment and stuff like that too, it is there. snakes don't always want to be enriched.
Yeah. Well, there's different ways. Like literally a paper like a toilet paper tube. You know, a
Old school ways, yeah.
cardboard box. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff just to give them different stuff to do. But like Blaine Morton Brown there says, bioactive is really more for personal aesthetic appeal, and that's very true.
It is.
For display tanks, for us, more so than the animals. It's harder to get the conditions. And Chris Fortier makes a great point there too, about being generally used by lazy people. It's cute not to clean. There's an element of that for sure. I don't necessarily believe that as a whole.
I was hoping for
there is definitely an element where people think that because they're doing that, they don't have to do any maintenance, and that's not right either. You still have to do maintenance. You still got to think of the big bio load, the big poops, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything else to do its work.
But in the same vein, when sometimes that stuff is necessary, that came from that method of keeping was very, very, very German, right? Remember those guys in the old school magazines? They were the pioneers of all those really rare and like unheard of stuff that like so fragile that like, you gotta, and you kind of had to go to that level, to the extreme of trying to give it everything they went until you figured out the key factors.
Right.
You fight it. Right.
That's the key, is figuring out those conditions, and the best way to do that was to mimic the microhabitat so you can figure out what it actually needed, and then you can take that with other methods to get the humidity, the light, the temperature, all that stuff dialed in by mimicking that initially. I agree.
Well, and it also depends what you're talking about. It's a lot easier to to do a bioactive enclosure for, say, like a giant day gecko or, some sort of lizards that's, got a fairly small footprint in the cage. Whereas we get asked to do bioactive enclosures for snakes or like a bearded dragon, for example. Well, they're going to trample everything, so it's hard to keep anything alive. So it's hard sometimes.
Know your plan.
Yeah. Can we show some more animals, Vanan? People want to see your animals.
Yeah.
Let me go grab something else. Going right by.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Let's see how daring I can get. Now he's the nicer one. He was just sitting in his water dish.
Ooh.
But that's the male viper boa, and he doesn't want to eat me all the time. At least the female.
Well, those are notorious for being.
Yeah, he's somewhat okay. The females, dude, it's insane how fast they are. They're so fast, man. And I mean, for being boas and just being kept at the same temperature as my colubrids, it's insane. Like they don't even have any supplemental heat right now, and it's just insane metabolism. Like it's crazy how it works. But it's so
I've never actually kept those, but I've like played with some friends, collections that had those, and what I found was they were a little tougher to read. That they would just, lash out out of seemingly nowhere with a lot less warning than a lot of other snakes would.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly wash my hands right back.
So anyway, Dan
Chris,
was mentioning about having, Cornell's rolling closures. So thanks for that, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't hear what was that last snake? I didn't hear.
Viper boa.
Sorry.
Okay.
I tend to forget that. It's a viper boa, and I just recently got those last fall. The funny story with the female actually was the one that showed up. I think I did a little video there with the zombie boa because it was cold enough. It was fall morning, and it was kind of one of those freak weather changes, good old Alberta weather. And she was upside down in the bag. And I'd fallen some intents and purposes. I thought she was done, but you know how the old school we were like, we'll just wait a half hour and see. Right? And lo and behold, she came through and stuff, and she was just none the worse for wear, right? So, but I mean, I don't know if it's the season yet, or we're out the season yet, but I've been pairing them because they've been rock solid. I've cleaned them out. I've given them the doses and stuff too. So we'll see what happens. If not, there's always next season. I find with those guys, I've heard that with most Candoria, you need multiple males. That being said, with Tyrone, Canadian Mouseman, when I was working with him, we repaired those Paulsoni, those Solomoni ground boas. It was just one female. And it was just the timing of the year, and he's got all those babies right now. They're awesome, amazing, so awesome. But Yeah,
There's something to be said about a lot of snake species of having extra males around. I
yeah,
think sometimes even the proximity where the pheromones or whatever, they can, sense there's another one nearby, that competition that triggers that breeding response, where otherwise they're just lazy and don't care.
yeah. I think that's what it is when you have a lazy male, and that's where again, like being a breeder, you have to be.
Carry on, sorry. I think we all went to the same place there. Yeah.
Vanan more than both of us, apparently.
Well, I don't even know what the hell I was, dude. What the hell?
Lazy male competition triggering.
I'm gonna awkwardly drink my tea right now,
Yeah, that's quite the mug. Let's see that mug.
dude. This there was a girl in Calgary actually that was gonna. I got this at Calgary Reptile Expo.
Wow.
Some dude, yeah, she was just handcrafted. I forget her name. She's on Facebook,
Wow.
but yeah, I got them set here and badass. You can microwave them, dishwasher safe. It's awesome. It's handmade too. It's all already so.
Yeah, yeah.
But where was I with the males? Yeah, no. As breeders, we have to be more on the ball about health and body tone, right? Like because you can't for that reason because we can't let them go that far.
No.
Females and males for that reason too.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody that's bred for any length of time knows that the males, you want them to be leaner.
Yeah,
You get overfed fat males, they're terrible breeders.
yeah, yeah. And the females also they don't have the good muscle tone to be able to push stuff out and things like that.
Yeah.
Too, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
But
interesting.
you got any Florida Kings you'd like to show us? Because Joe Birch wants to see New England Xanthic.
I'll bring out my mail here. 1 second.
Show us something that's gonna bite you.
Might. No, you might not.
Oh, there we go.
Trying to get. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm still not used to the mirror thing. It's messing with
No, I know it.
And
I'm
it's
not
the
used to this
opposite.
either. I wish this was automated. Like when you were talking, it would just go full screen to you. So I'll have to figure something out.
we can't have everything. Oh, work with it. Can you turn the other way though, dude? There. Be nice. So that's my male, and he's the typical spring leaned out with female mode. He hasn't been eating. Florida Kings though is kind of 50-50. They don't always go off of feed. If you keep the males separate with the females, they'll eat too. So sometimes I'll let my males also eat, but I tend to keep them lean this time of year. But this is a New England Exanthic Florida King snake. And for anyone else who doesn't know what a New England Exanthic Florida King, it is a line-bred Florida King strain. It's basically an Exanthic, but it's line-bred for more white areas. So basically it's got more flame. And I should really stop saying basically too much too. But a lot of flaming on the side.
Wow.
You can see the white, all the glare too, but you can see. I would show you a regular Exanthic about this size, but I had a male bigger than this, and he went to a new home a couple of weeks ago. So, but they're usually a lot darker. And you can see his neck. You can see that white in there too comes in. So
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
yeah, for people who like the black and white thing. And then you have the other end of it, which is why I love Florida, is you can go the other end and. Now, I'll be gentle with him because he's got a full belly, but Florida Kings never ever put anything out. They never ever pick it up. So
Nice.
this is my boy from last year, yeah, the Hyper Mosaic Florida King.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's got a full belly in there too, but he's not as red as it can be, but it starts getting there. There's other genes you can add to make it redder and stuff, and of course, there's also the line breeding that you can make it redder. Yeah, I say red. He's not very red now. He's actually more orange. Are you gonna bite me? Are you gonna bite me? He's more orange now because Florida Kings tend to lose that red, right, when they grow older. But
Yellow out, peach out.
Sorry?
Kind of peach out, yellow out.
Yeah, exactly, right? So they don't have the intense red. But there's some genes that we're trying to stack with and put together. Some guys, friends in the States, are putting together to see if they can keep that red a little longer into adulthood. But either way, this still makes for a sharp snake. So kind of neat.
Here, so while he's grabbing that, I grabbed one of my little holdback variable kings. I was going to show. I promised Jay Lynn I'd show it. So
Ooh.
here's a little. I don't know if you can see it.
What's up, David Cooper?
I don't know if you can see it. Oh,
Hold on there. Sorry.
here we go. Let's see if I can. It's all backwards, so it's hard to see.
No, yeah. Oh man, I miss having those there, man.
Yeah,
Why is yours smaller, Chris?
genetics. Ask Vanan where he got his biggest snakes from.
yeah. Giants. Chris knows how to raise giants, by the way.
Oh, that's what was. That wasn't what I was getting at. But
Right, I know.
We're trying to keep it PG here. Come on, that's kids at home nowadays, man.
That's right.
it's 8:43, past their bedtime.
It's hard to see in the light here, but it's like super like white and the contrast is super nice.
Here, let me. Amy wants to see.
But I don't want to be on camera. Well, that's cool.
How old is that one, Chris? I don't know if he said.
This was a holdback from last year. It's a bit of a slow starter, so it's a little small still, but
Yeah, that's
Right.
nice.
they always seem to grow really slow, I find too.
Yeah. That's sharp, bro. Man, that ones I got from you, like, they should make some nice babies. I know where they went here, and they should make some nice babies. I got something else a little different here. I just posted recently on them, but I'm just gonna wait till he settles down because, as much as the picture makes him seem that they like to hang out on my hands, these guys are.
Oh, here. Hold on. I'll put you full screen.
These are African file snakes, and they're very much like milk snakes as far as how they move. And I'm gonna try to hold this up. Where? Come on, look me there.
Oh, that's a perfect shot right now.
They have a very milk snake-like head. They tend to like to hide underneath stuff, and they tend to flail around like milk snakes too. A little spazzy sometimes, but they're cute as hell. And just they're kind of interesting. I'm trying to get a proper. There we go. It's interesting keeping a snake that has a dorsal ridge like that makes you always nervous that it needs to eat, so to speak.
Nice.
You can see they have that really very pronounced ridge, which
Did I miss? Is that a file snake?
yeah, bro.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
I'm just glad at least they're showing some growth now. They're out of the little scary phase, so those are pretty.
Chris Fortier says that pronounced spine makes me a little weak in the knees.
There's just
PG.
I'm just not touching that.
Yeah. Speaking of tricolor king snake type looking things.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
Yeah, I've just got a little pair here. The female is a little behind. This is the male. I had to sort of brumate them in the winter to get them eating a little better in the spring here now. But they're just last year they had albinos, pyros.
Nice.
So hopefully down the road. I've always kind of stayed away from the mountain kings because I've just felt like they were a little more fussy as babies, right? And they are. The babies tend to be fussier, but
Lizard eaters when they're babies.
yeah. Sorry, what's that?
Lizard eaters a lot when they're babies.
That too, right? And then also like being maintained, like brumating them and stuff. But yeah, which is why, like, I think part of me also was okay to reduce some of the other species I was working with, where a lot of them were very needed at scenting, and again, time was just a thing too, right? So some of it was just like, if I have to scent this much and for it to work, it's not going to work. So that's my outlook in this. Like, I don't want to produce species that have to be high maintenance because that's not my point. I would like to do it because just for my own stupid sick reasons, I like to have animals like that myself. But I feel like the hobby mostly needs animals that are going to make someone's experience positive,
Yeah.
especially when they're getting into it, right? So I always try to make sure that I recommend. And if it's anything that's really touchy, you always want to make sure that someone knows what they're getting into right off the hop, right? So I will switch them out.
I think guys like you and a lot of colubrid breeders in general these days are doing it more for the love of the animals than the quick buck that you might see for like ball python people getting into the hobby thinking that they're going to breed a couple snakes and get rich off of it.
That's kind of always been the case, though. Really.
It is, but I mean, it's good to see too that people are still in it for the love versus the dollars.
Truth be told, the colubrids have never been big money for the most part, right? Obviously, there was some species that still always remain, like the dry marcon, like the indigos and all that. They've always kept the value for good reason because they were not an easy species, especially to breed. But with in doing that, in doing so, it really filtered out. It really kept away a lot of the investment type folks. Nothing wrong with them. There was an aspect that was necessary that did propel the hobby to a new stage that we could have never expected. So there's kudos to that, but there's also the other side to it, right? So, colubrids have always kind of just kept it just behind, but also because it's easy to take them for granted because they're pretty easy. Or should I? Easy, guys.
Awkward silence.
So Shane, I was just reading that comment there, Shane Keith. Not many colubrid breeders in there for the quality, depends on the very few. I actually disagree with that. I find that most of the people that have kept and bred colubrids for any length of time are typically in it for the quality 100% and not in it for the money. Like you said, if there isn't the money there, and anybody that's kept up with the colubrids a long time, it's because you're trying to put out quality animals, because you love those particular, the interesting, more active, more fascinating animals, snakes, versus looking at it for the money.
Even in my situation, I mean, I just started doing this like solo last fall, and it was only because every year my passion fed it to the point of I just kept going to the point of like, oh, I like crunch some numbers and like, oh, maybe this can be a thing. It wasn't like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get all this, get a business loan and blah blah, I'm gonna invest this, I'm gonna be able to pay my mortgage. It doesn't work that way. It never really does anyways when it comes to animals. But I mean, I know we like to joke about it, but with it's just not that way. And I think with colubrid, I think why it keeps people in the game a little longer is there's a little window of patience that we seem to have between the 3-year and 5-year gap, that where most pythons, that's the life cycle before you breed and have another generation. With colubrids, a little quicker, so there's a little more of an incentive to line breed. And all the old school guys, I don't know if you probably remember, Chris, where that was the thing we did. That's why the quality came, because we just kept our own lines going because we saw some things and we just wanted to bring that out, and we could over a shorter time. So that, I think, gave a lot of long game people, got a lot of long game people in the hobby, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the long game.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm always about that, which is why I'm going to bring up the Mexican black topic. Why I don't do Mexican black kings, and I'm like, I want to say with a passion, almost. I've done it in the past. Nothing wrong with the species themselves, but it has just got to the point of that. Just what? Like, there's other people that do it. I'm just gonna do the other stuff. Like, it's just stupid. I'm just gonna walk away from that one. But I don't see what more you can do to a Mexican black. I don't. It's black.
Other than just trying to promote big, robust, healthy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like real good quality Mexican blacks. Because people look at because they became popular. The price tag moved up a little bit on them, so people jump on them and trying to push them out real quick, right? So
Mexican blacks, for the most part, I still see them as pretty solid and robust babies and species that I don't think inbreeding has really affected them a lot.
No.
So it's just, for me, I mean, in one way, back then when I was breeding Mexican blacks, and you probably had some too, we had the ones that were patterned, and we were breeding towards the black ones, right? And then that was the game. And then now when we got there, we're like for me, I know a guy, you probably know him too in the States, where he's actually got pretty pattern ones too. So to me, that has become more appealing. And it's always going to be that. You're always chasing that one that's a little bit not as attainable. The one, you want to be that cool kid on the block that has someone that no one, nothing else. You know what I mean? Like it's,
of course, yeah.
Has that to a certain degree. Everyone has that to a small degree. That's where the uncommonness, the rarity aspect comes in it, right?
I think for me personally, that's one thing that drives me is always like, seeing something that's less common, like my armadillo lizards. Like to me, that's the appeal of having something a lot of other people don't have.
Yeah.
And the animals I have at the shop, I mean, some of them may breed at some point, but I'm not actively trying to breed anything. It's just because I love having the reptiles around.
Yeah, and again, no matter how much of a breeder you are, or whatever it is, you will always still be a keeper at heart, right? So you'll always have that in there, and I mean, you have to be a keeper first, right? And you can't lose that aspect of it, being a keeper.
And I think a lot of people lose that and forget that these days. There's that instant gratification where people want to jump into breeding right away. Like when I started in the hobby, I took a long time of learning to keep everything that I kept, and I wanted to know every possible situation and what could go wrong and how to fix that and how to rectify every problem before I decided to start breeding and producing those animals, and so that I could help those people that I sold them to. If there's a problem, I know how to fix it with my experience, not something I read or heard from somebody else, but from what I knew. And that was how I looked at it. And I didn't start breeding until I was comfortable in that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know the animal completely, and then breeding was just another way of knowing the animal a little more, right? It's just seeing the other aspect of the life cycle.
Yeah. Why is it just me? Should be Vanan.
Vanan, somebody here, Dave, I think it was David Cooper was asking to see more pits.
Yeah, I already.
Oh, you saw it.
We saw the pits earlier, buddy. Oh, there we go.
This is a Mexican pint. I don't know if I showed David these ones recently, but.
Oh, beautiful.
This is my male. My female feels like she's lumpy. I'm not trying to not. Come on, show your face, buddy. Head to the light. Head to the light. There.
I love them. I found it, but the ones that I got years and years ago were a bit of a challenge.
Whoa.
Is he hiding? Drop him.
There was a lot of inbreeding going on and stuff too, so they weren't as robust as the lines that are out now.
Yeah.
Being montane species too, I know guys are keeping them too warm and all kinds of stuff too. I know they like it really cool.
They like a cold thing. They don't have any heat at all. They're right at the bottom rack all the time.
Yeah.
I've seen them. I did my garage this time. Well,
that's a beautiful example too, by the way. That's a gorgeous snake.
Yeah, and the female is a little bit bolder markings on her and stuff too, but we'll see. Hopefully, last year she was. I bred her, got her first clutch out of her. There was only 2 good babies that came out of the clutch, but she had a healthy clutch at least, and that's all I wanted to begin with. So this year, hopefully.
That one Debbie or Debbie Janny?
Janny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think the Janny is a little bit more common actually.
Yeah.
Going to get something else?
Yeah, there's one more.
So who is it? Is it David Cooper wants to see Rose's parents? Somebody wants to see Rose's parents.
Oh, it's probably Shane.
Oh, Shane, right? Sorry.
This is. I'll just show it, David. This is one of the Louisiana's, David. Louisiana pine snakes. Come on, doing the backwards thing. Okay, hang on. I know it's nighttime. I know bedtime. Well, these are Louisiana pines.
It's so nice to see people working with those now. It was so hard to find them. 10 years ago, it was so difficult. And guys were crossing a lot of the pits in the States. So
yeah, I know that's the thing. It was hard to get proper lines, and you could trace back. And the good thing, I stumbled upon, you know who, and he's just this little hidden away landmine, not landmine, gold mine. So I've just tried to get as much as I can from him to stock up my breeding group from his babies. And yeah, it's they're neat, bro, because I like them because they remind me of a kind of an in between of a bull snake.
Yeah.
And a pine snake. They have very much full face, and even the body is so thick to the point of like, I mean, anyone who really knows bull snakes can tell that it's not a bull snake, but it can easily fool you too, though.
Yeah.
So, but they have a different girth to them. They have a, Jesus, they're all about the words today. They're quite thick-bodied animals too.
Yeah.
Compared to the northern pines and stuff like that.
I think you touched on it before, Vanan, but how many snakes do you have in your collection? Or, well, how many animals in general do you have in your collection?
But I'm going to say about 400.
400.
Yeah, 350 or somewhere around there now, probably maybe less. But my core collection is about 250. And then I have my grow up section, right, which is...
While we're waiting for Vanan to grab anything else, we'll probably wind this chat down soon. If anybody's got any questions for us or Vanan, definitely post them now, and we'll try and address them.
You know what this one is? That's Blaze Going Eye.
Yeah. Or Meansy, whatever the frick you want to call them. I still call them Blaze Going.
Yeah, Going Eye. That's what I meant to be, but not as big as your thick boy there, but I'm trying to get him there.
Yeah, that's probably not too far off.
Yeah, he's he was cool though. It was a little pick of the litter I actually got from Brian and from NBK Reptiles.
Yeah.
And I was just hounding him as soon as they were pipping. I'm like, dude. And as soon as that one came up, I'm like, dude, I have to have it right now. So, and he's thrown amazing babies. So he'll be going with his daughter actually this year. That is pretty similar to him actually in color and pattern. So we'll see what.
Now, have you found? I found in my experience with those that for some reason the males seem to hold more of the red, and orange than the females.
I honestly think it's like from the bird ancestry, because even corn snakes are the same way. Florida kings definitely the same way. I don't see in pythons so much, but definitely in the colubrid wool, you definitely see a difference in males being redder or more yellow too.
Yeah, absolutely. It just seems like the colors are just always more vibrant and longer. Like again, my male's more red than my female.
Yeah, they hold that colors a lot better. It seems like.
Yeah, that's got amazing color for.
So sorry, is that a male or is that a female?
Oh yeah,
that's a boy.
Yeah,
I like the pattern too. It's very nice.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that he's not he's still in breeding mode and not in feeding mode.
Yeah, no kidding. I had some. Yeah, those are the one king snake that the babies. I mean, cow kings are famous for it too, but would try and eat my fingers every time. Like when they got to a certain stage, even about a year old, like right down to the knuckle.
No, you
out there.
That's awesome. I don't know. They're so. The food response is so strong that it makes them comical.
Yeah.
The stuff they end up doing is insane, but yeah.
Yeah, I had some hatchlings that I was feeding pinkies and realized as it grabbed it that the pinky was going to be way too big, and I couldn't get the pinky away from it. So I had to cut the pinky with a pair of scissors while I was eating it, because otherwise it was just going to be way too much.
Oh really? Eh?
Yeah. I was like just wouldn't let go.
Yeah,
hanging it by the pinky, like let go. Nope.
Oh yeah, I've had to, and of course I want to add to before I think we're going to wrap this up here too. In keeping the communal thing with the king snakes, I want to add with everyone that feeding king snakes together still is a task. It is still something you have to watch, because they still have a tendency that when the mouth is occupied, the body likes to grab other things too. So, in case anyone's looking at pictures or following me on social media and thinking like, oh, they can just do this all the time. They live together for the most part, like since brumation and breeding now together. But when I feed them, you have to watch them or separate them, because they have too much of a strong response that no matter how social I might think they are, or smart I think they are, it overrides that. It's just no, which is why they're awesome.
It just takes one of them to have a tail flip over and touch
Yeah.
something, and it just reacts to constrict, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of convenient because when you want to feed multiple meals to them, you just put one in the mouth and then you put one in a coil and then just wrap it around. And I've even had like two, but they have actually had wrapped two in a coil and then one in the mouth still for feeding. So
nice.
Mandy was asking how old that one is.
this guy is 5.
Thanks.
Yeah, 2015 animal. And it came from NBK too. And I paired him with a regular female. So not regular. She was a high red because I want to say she was a low. I thought he went for me, but I don't think so. I think she was just not a very bright blaze. So the baby qualities were still decent, but I can't wait till this year when he's put back with the whole back from him or his female, right? So this is what I mean. This is why colubrid breeders are in it because there's a lot of it's long game too because there's recessive genes. I mean, of course, Blaze is more immediate; it's a line bred thing. But with colubrids, most of them are recessive. So you have to take that 3 years or 6 year generation thing to if you're working with morphs, especially, and from him. All about the long.
That's awesome.
Do you got anything more for us to see, Vanan? Rose's parents keeps getting brought up, so I don't know.
All right. I'm gonna get some.
You should grab at least one of Rose's parents.
If I scroll up, I'd say that's the most mentioned thing on this feed.
That's a shame going over and over.
I know.
Appreciate the passion.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us.
Absolutely.
We're trying to do these live feeds. We're trying to do it every couple of weeks, and obviously that's dependent on the viewership that we get and trying to get breeders and collectors alike to want to talk to us. So thanks, Vanan, for coming on with us and everybody else who's been on before. But we're trying to make a regular habit of it to get back into the lives and great way to share information and see some amazing animals.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's nice to actually chat because I was thinking we never got a chance to. And I was looking forward to spring shows and finally meeting everyone after a long winter, and we don't get to do that, the whole social thing. It's nice to be able to at least chat and talk like this a video too. It's pretty cool.
Well, it's funny this year. I mean, I felt like the shows were going to have a little bit different tone this year. I don't know what it was, but turns out it did have a different tone, but not the way I expected.
Yeah.
Well,
I got a question here too. So, what's been your biggest takeaway? Maybe something that you overlooked or thought you knew or didn't know, or a bit of a revelation from your time that when you went down and spent some time with some of these guys in the States, some of these old school kind of keepers that you were hanging with and stuff down there. What's something there that you took away that maybe you thought you knew or didn't know? Or
well, probably the biggest thing that hits me right away, Chris, is the fact that we, and again, this is going to be a can of worms, but is that we baby our reptiles a little much. Because the reason why we love them is because they're badass, because they're awesome, because they have amazing recovery. They shed the skin and they can be almost like no sign of a scar at all. Like I mean, they bounce back. They live in extreme conditions and this and that. And then we put them at home and you're like, oh my god, my little Fluffy's got it. When I went there, I saw more of a realistic. I saw the animal side of the animal, not the pet side of how we seem to treat the snake here, and which is cool because for them it was the wild animal, but inside, and very much so, right? And even the way they kept it to the point of where it was. I won't mention names, but there's some collections that I saw that would probably have some people freaking out. Like, oh my god, you got like health things and this and that. For example, like out there they have snake sheds, and you got the wildlife is so rampant in the tropics, guys, that it's just gonna get into everywhere. If you're sitting around there, your snake racks, you got a toad running around in in amongst the snake racks. It's just another night in the snake room, like, because it's no, honestly, because there's a part you can fight it all you want, and of course in a bigger collection, you would have to have more protocols to be more stringent with that. But there's a part of it where you end up fighting nature a little too much that sometimes you just let go a little bit and work with nature. It's a lot better. And that's what really changed me with this, how I treat my room. And instead of fighting it every year, man, my AC bill with this room was insane. I was running my heat tape and my, trying to keep it perfect all year round. It was nuts. And just letting go.
PHG.
What's that?
Where'd you get your heat tape again?
Oh yeah. Well, wait. All racks and cages provided by this little button in the corner here, Cornel's World. There. You can
appreciate the support.
But yeah, that was the biggest thing, guys. It was just like, the insight to seeing the closeness between the wild snake and the captive snake, how close it was when I was down in Florida.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Well, I mean, these things are programmed to do what they do, and like trying to interfere too much just messes things up more. And
yeah, and
trying to tell people, but sometimes it just takes something to open some eyes. Sometimes, but
and of course, blanket rules. You can't have blanket rules, not just across species, but even across individuals. I've had some snakes over the years. I don't have any now that have shown that sign, but some snakes tend to be more prone to shedding issues. Just when things like you've seen that, the odd individuals like that, and where you can't base everything on one template, and that's where for the convenience, it's why I've always been going on about like just say no to care sheets, because it's in simplifying things. We've created in creating the book for dummies. We've created in the process. So
yeah, and it's something I always say too is like the one true sign to run away from somebody giving you advice is if they talk in absolutes. You have to do this, you have to do that. Like the guys have been around the longest, and the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
The more you realize that you need to know, and the more you want to know. Like the longer you've been in it, the more you realize you don't talk in absolutes and say, well, there's a lot of different ways to do a lot of different things. So.
And then you find you learn more and faster that way because you're more open to things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it depends who you're talking about. Like I find with a lot of the newer keepers are usually the ones that deal in absolutes because Google told them so.
Yeah.
And I actually find that the people who are, that you should be listening to are the ones who probably have the least amount to say. Like they're concise or to the point. You can take it or leave it, and they don't care. But any of the internet fights I see these days are people who have been in the hobby for 6 months and Google told them this is the way of the world, and I mean it must be right because it was on Google.
The same care sheets that get cut and pasted 16 different ways. It's the exact same wording and writing. Like think outside the box and listen to some different ideas and realize there's different ways to do everything.
Yeah, and also something to be said for as long as you have an animal, the more experience you get. I mean, even a dog owner. I mean, if you had your first dog, the longer you have your dog, the more experience you have with the dog. After your second dog, a third, people have more. You get better at it, and it's just how it is with any pet keeping. So to not even allow that at all and go right away, I mean, people are people. I get that part, but I find that I think if we can take things back down to just like, hey, just focus on your passion. Let's just tell me about your passion first. Don't care about what I'm doing. Let's just you do you, homie. You know what I mean? Like I want you to enjoy the animal the most and give your animal the most it needs, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day is my animals look healthy and they're doing what they do, they live long enough. We can't start doing that because you can do that with literally any hobby. And I always try to hold myself up to the one pet industry back then that we didn't really have a lot of other industries, but the aquarium industry was big, but I would look at dog breeders, how to conduct myself as breeders and what standards to hold myself to. And it's probably a little bit unrealistic in some ways, but they get a lot of flack and they've been at the forefront of this a lot longer than any other domestic animal breeder. So I take a lot of I look at how they operate themselves, how they hold themselves, and what qualities they hold high in the animals, and try to look for that, right?
Yeah.
I think for when people are looking for their first pets or looking at breeding, I mean, look for those people who've been around the industry for years versus just some flashy name that just arrived 2 months ago and has got some flash sales going on, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
So
Like I get making the wrong marketing ideas, or I get being really gung ho about everything when you start off. I get that part, but you also have to allow that chance to grow too. And
Yeah.
not fool yourself too, right? And then be open to things too.
Yeah, you love to see the passion and stuff, which is always great. It's just, it's such an instant gratification. People want to be instant famous, and there's
Yeah.
I guess it sounds hypocritical because this is literally on social media what we're doing right now. But it's just, you talk to the people that have been around a long time, and they all sort of know each other to a point, right? And it's just, you don't really don't look at the newest fad or somebody who's really necessarily putting themselves out there so much, because a lot of the old school guys kind of back off from that.
Yeah.
Those are the guys you can really learn a lot from. They've had the experience. They've been doing stuff for a long time. So you just want to, and not to say that people that have maybe not been around as long don't know as much or whatever and have great ideas. It's just you want to be wary of people who are too concerned about being seen as somebody who knows stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just people that want to learn and work from that experience instead of just what they've read or just told them, right?
Yeah. Just regurgitated stuff and not from not from experience, right? Again, and that speaks volumes, because we are still even in the realm of not just herpetoculture but herpetology. We're still at the brink of learning new things too. I mean, I'm following a friend of mine very closely that works with king cobras in India, and the stuff that I'm learning from him and his observation as he tracks his animal through the jungle is insane. I mean, I recently learned that a big good monocle cobra meal for a king cobra probably takes 2 weeks for it to digest in the jungle. When you think about it, I'm like, we don't even think about pythons. If we have a python digesting meal for 2 weeks, we're like, oh my god, it's going to regurg.
Yeah.
Right? How the heck is this thing taking 2 weeks for it to actually pass through its system?
Yeah.
But yet it regulates itself. So I mean, there's so many things science has yet to ask the questions that sometimes keepers or breeders sometimes observe. Yes, but we just don't have the tools to get the answers.
Yeah.
Right? But we can ask the right questions. There's nothing wrong with asking the right questions, because that's what leads science to go away.
This comes down to wanting to always learn, right? And be, again, for example, like Tyrone, like I talk to Tyrone a lot, where he'll have more experience in a certain animal, and I'll ask him for stuff, or vice versa, right? So it's, but it all comes back, to just wanting to learn, and you leave the ego at the door, and you don't want to, I'm an expert, all that kind of BS. Like, it's just, you just want to, you want to learn, and you want to do best by the animals, and that's what needs to be first and foremost, is the animals' care and moving that forward, and forget about your own ego. And what people think or all the BS. Like, let's move stuff forward.
Yeah, cute puppy. But then, in part of being animal people too, when the more you delve into the animal world, or the animal mind, or whatever it is, the hobby, the loss of ego is almost automatic. Because you start, you understand nature, you understand yourself as an animal, you understand how things work more. You have that, the BBC Nat Geo mind a little bit in there, and you have that take on it too. So cute doggy, by the way.
He's driving me nuts on the floor. He's eaten 2 toys so far.
Has he pooped in the house yet?
No, he hasn't pooped so far.
He just does that in the shop.
Yeah. According to Amy, he might be coming to the shop tomorrow. She's sick of him.
That's fine.
Get him out for a little bit, yeah.
Well, I think it's, we're kind of dwindling in numbers here, and I feel like we could probably talk all night anyways, but we should probably cut this short. thanks for joining us, Vanan. Your Facebook page, and you've got a YouTube page.
Yeah, you can look me up on Canadian Opidiophile. I'm gonna spell it out. It's OPHIDIOPHILE. Opidiophile. It means snake liver. I'm gonna say that again. And you can look it up on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram also. Follow me on there. If you got any questions, just shoot me a message. I'm always available. I'm always willing to answer anything you got. So.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to try and do this again in a couple weeks. So anybody watching this still after an hour and 45 minutes, if you've got suggestions for anybody else who would be interested in coming on and talking with us, sharing their passion, feel free to message us. But thanks again for watching, and we hope to do this again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and thanks, man. And seriously, like,
you guys, homies. Love you guys.
Yeah, great to see you, buddy.
Take care. Be good.
You too. Wash your hands, everybody.